The Sports Fix, the show that asks the question,
what you talking about, Lou? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou?
We'll be right back. It's an addiction. The Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Yeah. Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious!
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, fantasyjocks.com. The Sports Fix is on iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeart app today. Subscribe to the show and get your fix.
You love Cleveland, and you already know how much we love Cleveland. You know who else loves Cleveland? GV Art and Design. Everyday fans, you and I wear our pride on our sleeves. Now, you can wear your pride on your chest. GV Art and Design has one of the hottest Cleveland sporting lines. Log on right now to gvartwork.com. Check out all of their fantastic designs.
And don't forget, use the sales code FIX10, FIX10, to save 10% on your total purchase.
Follow gvartwork.com on Facebook, and remember, GV Art and Design, it's not just a shirt, it's a statement.
In baseball, miracles can happen when a team works together.
2 out, bottom of the ninth, down to their last strike.
The same is true in the fight against cancer. That's why MLB has teamed up with Stand Up to Cancer. Because we believe that when we all stand up together,
41,000 on their feet,
we can make cancer history.
Now everybody's standing. What a buzz in this building.
This is beyond a dream. Stand up with MLB at standuptocancer.org.
Now, back to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rock back with you as we roll on with this show. Going to go to the phone lines and be joined by my man Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan here in just a moment. Guys, keep the conversation going. I see guys in the Mixler chat room over there. Facebook, Twitter, email, facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Email us, The Sports Fix at AOL.com. 25 minutes, half hour or so from now, Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland going to join us, talk about the Cavaliers' loss last night, look ahead to tonight's matchup as well as the road trip continues. Don't forget, hour 2, Doug Plagens of the Lake Erie Monsters. CSU Vikings men's basketball head coach Gary Waters still on tap as well right now. We're talking some football here, kicking things off with Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan. Got a couple of big rivalry clashes in the next few days, Browns and Bengals. And then another prime timer as the Spartans and the Buckeyes do battle this weekend. Let's talk about all of that with Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan right now. Dan Wismar, how you doing? Middle of the week. We're getting ready to hit some football on Thursday and Saturday with a couple of rivalry games.
You're doing great, Jerry. Good to be with you. Yeah, it's been a good week for Cleveland sports watchers. I mean, you get to the Cavs on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Get the Browns on Thursday and the Buckeyes on Saturday. So got all the bases covered here this week.
Absolutely. That's one of the things when I say I love this season. That's one of the reasons why. Last night, I was in my glory at 10 o'clock at night, sitting back. The house is quiet. The neighborhood, everything's quiet. And there's basketball to be watched. Unfortunately, it wasn't a basketball game for all 4 quarters. The first half was all right to watch, man. At one point, it was 50-50. I'm like, all right, this is a back and forth, good little game here. And then they get outscored by 20 down the stretch there. I don't know, man. It's Jekyll and Hyde watching. I know we'll talk about it a little bit later on. But regardless, the process of being able to watch late-night baseball and basketball, always one of my simple pleasures in life. I love the West Coast trips for our teams.
Yeah, me too. I'm one of those night owls, too, that's up late every night anyway, so might as well be watching the local sports franchises out on the West Coast. It's fun. I was wondering whether anybody was going to play any defense last night, and I understand that Coach Blatt was not very happy with his team's defensive effort. But anyway, we'll get off the basketball and talk about the couple of big football games coming up here this week.
Yeah, since, Bob started it off with the call here before the thing, let's stay with the Browns before we switch over to the college side of the ball. Browns and Bengals, I think back to that stat, 2 of them that we talked about there that, with it being so long since these teams played, and you get confused. I mentioned that because they've battled, like even I think 2007, it comes down to the wild card. But with first place in the division, these teams have never traditionally been good at the same time most of the time throughout their franchises, the Bengals and the Browns. So it's been a long time since they've been in the spotlight this late in the season with something meaningful at stake outside of just a wild card berth. They're interesting that it goes all the way, like I said, not just past 99, but even past a decade plus of actual Browns football as well.
Yeah, that's true. I was a little bit surprised to hear that myself, and it goes all the way back to the Bernie years before they had a real meaningful game. This one obviously is it's not a season maker or breaker for the Browns. No. It might be for the Bengals, though. If they lose this one, they're going to be, up against it. And I think that would take a lot of the wind out of their sails. They've been up and down. Obviously, they've had some real stinker performances. They got shut out by the Colts, and the offense has been so inconsistent. I think on defense they're relatively solid. And, there's no real area of their defense where they don't have solid players that contribute and are fairly consistent. But the offense has really been up and down and seems to be made or broken by whether Green is having a game or whether his toe is healthy or whatever. They discovered a running back for themselves, I guess, last week, and in Hill, a kid out of LSU. I liked him in the draft, and I guess he had some behavioral issues or whatever, discipline issues in college, and people were maybe a little bit reticent to draft him as a result of that. But looks like Cincinnati made a nice pickup, and maybe they found themselves
Sure did. And the other one, when talking about these trending statistics here, and this is the one that you'll start to hear for the next 24 hours a lot, is the Browns 17 in a row on the road in the division that they lost. And now I know that they've stunk within the division, but that one even caught me by surprise just because over the last few years, the Browns go out of their way when they stink to send you these, 2 pages worth of stats to tell you why the, 16-9 loss wasn't as bad as it looked on the field, and they love to point out as they've improved in the division over the last few years. Well, they won 1 game for the first time. Wow, now they've won 2 games. Wow, they won 3 games. But all of those for the last almost 6 years have been home. And I didn't even realize the split, that it had been 5+ seasons since they won one of those on the road. Of course, they haven't been a good they haven't been a good any place team. But so now you're going back that far. That's your next, hey, where you at? That's your next measuring stick. Can you go on the road and win one of these divisional games?
Yeah, and all you have to do is go back to last year when Browns started out fast and really should have been 21-0, at the very least 17-0. As it turned out, it was 13-0. And when Joe Hayden had a pick six early in the first quarter, and and they looked like they were rolling, turned around and proceeded to give up, what was it, 31 second quarter points, Jerry?
Yes, 31.
Just an unbelievable collapse with fumbles and special teams problems and kick returns, and if I'm recalling it correctly, the game was over by halftime, even though they had started so positively and run out to a 13-0 lead. It made the point even more than it always is made that when you have those red zone opportunities, and they were down inside the 5-yard line with a first down and couldn't score a touchdown, and I think 2 times came away from red zone with field goals and before the pick six, it really could have been a much bigger advantage there, for the Browns before that. But I guess if you're going to turn around and give up 31 in the second quarter, it doesn't matter much. I'm inclined to think that the Browns are going to be competitive in this game, but I think all those statistics, all those road division losses for the Browns, and the way that the Bengals play at home over the last several seasons, I think it's just going to be real tough for the Browns to come away with a win. If I had a gun to my head, I'd say they probably compete and play hard and lose a tight one. I hope I'm wrong, but if I was a betting man, that's the way I'd have to roll.
I'll tell you. I'll put some of these numbers in perspective here, but I'm with you. I think, like I keep saying, they definitely can. They definitely can go win this game. It's a matter of will they, not just 7. And that's 17 in a row. I didn't know this. I actually just found this out as I was pulling something up. That's the longest in the NFL since they've measured it since the merger back in 1970. That's the longest streak of any team's road losses within their division is what the Browns are at right now.
That's 6 years worth of games to put
September
that in perspective.
2008.
You only play three division road games a year, and
exactly.
So that's going back more than half a decade. So that's a pretty sorry record.
And guess what? The last one was against the Bengals. It was 20-12. The Browns beat the Bengals on September 28th of 2008, and that was the last time that the Browns have gone on the road in the division and won a game. Check this out. Although, obviously we mentioned at home, first time since they've returned to the NFL, the Browns in a 1-year period have beaten every team in the division, as they have beaten the Steelers, Bengals, and Ravens all in the last year's worth of football, even though it's spread over the start of the 2004 season. The Browns in the division on the road have won 2 whole football games. 2 football games since 2004 on the road. That is amazing, and that's truly that's staggering when you hear it stacked up like that, because I guess when you live in them, one grows to the other, and you just kind of live in, and one season runs into another 4-12, 5-11, and you don't even look at that stuff, man. So that really is your next measuring point. You've got to be able to go out here and win these games on the road. And I was talking yesterday, you look around the division, I really can see whichever one of these teams wins 4 in the division is going to win this thing, because they're on pace where every team could go 3-3 in the division this year, the way the teams are playing against each other. Cincinnati's the only team right now that doesn't have at least 1 loss in the division, and that's because they haven't played all 3 teams yet. So, it's going to come down to which team can win that 4th game within the division here is going to be the team that wins this thing.
Yeah, you're right. And the division is really so tight, and, it's had so many different looks to it from the start of the season till now. How it was only 3-4 weeks ago that the Pittsburgh Steelers came into Cleveland and stunk up the joint, and we're down 31-3 before a gift touchdown at the end. And the last couple of weeks they've looked like world beaters. They're sitting on top of the division. They've just drilled the Ravens, and for a while there, it looked like the Ravens were going to run away with it. Early in the season, after 3 games, people had Cincinnati in the Super Bowl. So, Cincinnati wins the September championship of the AFC North. So each of those 3 teams has taken their turn as quote unquote team to beat, or leading contender to win the division, however you want to put it. And who knows, with a victory tomorrow night, maybe the Browns become the new fair-haired boy in the division, and people are looking at them as maybe a team that has a shot. So it's a big game for the franchise to go on national TV, be credible. There are a lot of people that would just like to avoid embarrassment.